Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
Morning, everybody. May you asked me a question today
Yes.
about this prayer. That prayer is called Acheinu Kol Bnei Israel, and is part of the prayers that we say after the which you have a prayer book at home, Meir?
I heard you say the prayer Psalm 130 at the end of the davening.
And then I say the prayer. I want to point you to where that prayer is. Do you have a prayer book at your home?
No, I don't. I don't have one.
Okay, I will need to get you one. So that prayer is called Acheinu Kol Bnei Israel.
I hope you don't mind my asking all these questions.
No.
I ask because I want to learn.
No, I understand. But it's easier for me to point to where it is.
I'll find it. If it's in the Siddur, I will find
Yes,
it.
but you say that you don't have a Siddur, so
I have to get Lev Shalem, I have to get Simcha.
yeah. So probably in Lev Shalem you're not going to get it because it's part of the weekday prayer. Let me point to you very quickly.
Cheryl. Good morning. How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Okay, listen, I was thinking that if I'm able to, I would zoom in with you. But I just need more information on exactly, I don't have the book, but the Gemara, but I would pull it up on
I can send you.
Aria.
I can send you the PDF.
And then you can get, and then you can buy you should buy the real book.
No, I will. I
If you
will.
stay with
But
us, you definitely should buy the book. But
no, I know,
At
definitely.
the beginning, but you have still 10 more days because it's not this Friday, it's the next Friday.
This Friday, we're just finishing the very, very end of Tractate Baba Kama. And then we start again with the new book.
I think it's
Okay.
wonderful, Tina, that you are joining. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So, Meir, I will say this and then we'll continue. So after the Torah is being lifted on weekdays, when we read the Torah, we say after the Torah is being lifted, then there are a few paragraphs when we say Tachanun that we say, and one of them, these are petitions. And the last petition means, may God be merciful to our fellow Jews who wander over sea and land or who suffer persecution and imprisonment. May he soon bring them relief from distress and deliver them from darkness to light, from subjugation to redemption, and let us say amen. And this is a prayer called Acheinu Kol Beit Israel.
Acheinu Kol Bnei Israel.
Acheinu Kol Beit Israel. Kol Beit Israel. Okay?
Kol Beit Israel. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Okay, and you can Google, you can write Acheinu Kol Beit Israel and it will appear on Google.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good seeing you. Okay, which day is today? Today is the 12th, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Rosh Chodesh.
Rosh Chodesh, yes. So we have the Zelmans, and we have Tina, we have Iris, and we don't have David, but I'm sure we'll have him very soon. And we have Edna Green and Susan Diamond and more people will join. Okay, and Meir, we have also Meir. This is the first time you joined this class, Meir?
I've been popping in before, I think, a little bit here and there, because I don't have a complete schedule for myself yet. So I've been to the class before, but not...
Did I send you, Meir, the text that we are using?
I don't think so.
I am going to send it to you very quickly so you can follow. Okay. So, because you should open it in your computer, because I am not going to share a screen. So I'm going to send you an email
Okay, I'm going to open it in my second computer.
Yes, but I am going first to send it to you, okay? Because, and then I will begin with the class.
Thank you very much.
We're almost there, everybody. Okay, almost there, Sanhedrin. Okay, I just sent it to you. Okay, you should open it. Okay, and Magal is here as well. Okay. So today, I promise you, maybe I shouldn't promise, but I like to promise you, I am muted and my video is, I like to promise you that we have a nice program for today. We are going to learn good stuff, which is a little difficult, but not impossible, and is very, very meaningful and very important for Jewish law. And we are about to enter one of the most interesting parts of Tractate Sanhedrin, and I would say one of the most famous sugiot in the Babylonian Talmud. So those who needed to tolerate and withstand all the aggravation, now you may be rewarded with some interesting material. Again, that's my opinion. This is when they need to expose people to Talmud, they many times use this sugya because it's I would say it's a classic. And I will give you a little background so we can appreciate a little more when we read. The stubborn and rebellious son has a unique characteristic, a unique feature among all the other people who are condemned to death, and that is that he is being condemned to death for something that actually he didn't do. It's a preemptive execution, so to speak. In general, we cannot kill people until they commit a crime that is liable for them to be executed. But this case, and that's why we have an entire chapter dedicated to this case, and that's why the rabbis try to find extenuating circumstances not to kill the stubborn and rebellious son, because the Torah says, indicates that he should be killed for behaviors that actually a person is not being put to death. And the Gemara is going, and the Mishnah is going to address this very soon. Immediately after that Mishnah and Gemara, which is going to be very short, the Mishnah is going to enter into a fascinating topic, and that is what other cases of preemptive killing can be done. Okay? And one of the most famous phrases in the Talmud is going to appear. I'm not going to spoil the excitement, but and one of the cases that we are going to see is a burglar, a robber that comes in the middle of the night, and comes the owners, and he hears the noise. There is a robber there, and he kills the robber. Is liable for murder, the owner of the house. Yes, what is your feeling? Someone enters, someone breaks into the house, you have a weapon and you kill the robber.
Okay, the answer is, my understanding, if it's done at night, you can kill him. During the day, you can't.
Okay, yes. At night, you can kill him, yes. So, but the question is why? Because robbing or stealing is not something that you are liable to death penalty. Yes, the person comes there. Yes, Cheryl.
In your house, though, you're entitled to be free from threat. And at night, certainly,
But the question is, if someone comes and breaks into my home, and the main question, I'm not going to address, but the question is, what is the rationale for which I can kill him? Is only because it is my home, and in my home I am my master?
No, because you want to protect your home and your family.
Okay, but the person did not come to kill me. The person did come to rob.
I don't agree with it,
Still.
but yes.
How can you tell?
Okay, so we are going to see that. Okay, this is the discussion. Okay, so we are going to come into this sugya, and then we are going to go next week into other cases that preemptive killing is allowed, and we are going to.
It is allowed?
Yes, but we are, in general, is forbidden, but very narrow cases we are going to see how it plays. And the concept that we are going to learn is the concept of rodef. Rodef means a pursuer, and it's an halachic concept that is going to appear in our sugya. Okay, so with all this information is a background. It has many implications to other areas for Jewish law, and we are going to begin now studying the text. Bottom of page 149. Yes, Sela.
Before we go on, does a rebellious daughter get treated the same way?
No, a rebellious daughter is not being killed. No, that's what we learned at the beginning, Sela. No, the laws of a rebellious son applies only to a son, a boy between the ages of 13 and 3 months, under very narrow circumstances.
Which law is that?
What?
Which law is that? What does it say?
This is the law of the rebellious son, and I am not going to go over it, May, because we have been studying it for a long time. So. But you can Google it. It's called the stubborn and rebellious son. Okay.
Thank you.
What does sugya mean?
Excellent question. I'm going to explain that one.
Oh, what is sugya?
I'm going to explain that.
I just looked it up.
Yes. And what is the answer? What is sugya?
Issue?
Yes, sugya could be issue in modern Hebrew, but in Talmudic lexicon, sugya is a unit. It's a unit. It's a unit of Talmud.
Thank you.
It basically is a unit that stands by itself. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, it's a unit that you should study from the beginning to the end. Okay. Okay. So we are going to ask Judy Samuels to read the Mishnah at the bottom of page 149. Okay.
Okay, let me get it. Oh, at the bottom, okay. A stubborn and rebellious son is sentenced to death not because of the severity of the transgression that he already committed, but on account of his ultimate end. Because a boy of his nature will grow up to lead an immoral life, and it is better that he should die while he is still innocent, before causing excessive harm, and not die after he becomes guilty. This is because the death of a wicked is beneficial to them, because they can no longer sin, and it is also beneficial to the world, which is now rid of those who do it harm.
Conversely, the death of the righteous is detrimental to them, as they can no longer engage in the performance of mitzvot, and it is also detrimental to the world, as the righteous are now absent from it.
Read, please, the last, the first note
Oh,
on the right.
okay, he is sentenced on account of his ultimate end. Some suggest that this also explains why the rebellious son's halakha is different from that of other sinners. Other offenders, if they were forewarned, but they disregarded the warning, are immediately punished, whereas a stubborn and rebellious son must be forewarned twice. The reason is that the boy is not executed for the transgressions already committed, namely stealing and gluttony, but rather by the evil path on which he has embarked, because the Torah sees how he will be drawn toward results that are bad for everyone. Therefore, he is punished only if it is clear that he is consistently continuing on an evil path.
And do the next note, please.
He should die while still innocent and not die after he becomes guilty. This seems to contradict that which is stated in many sources, that one is judged according to his present status. Even if heaven knows that in the end he will turn to evil, he is judged only according to his present actions. A distinction can be made that the case of a stubborn and rebellious son is not comparable to the case of a righteous person, but rather to that of an evildoer who transgresses and certainly deserves some punishment. In this circumstance, the Torah states that he should die innocent of the serious transgressions that he would eventually commit, and not die an absolute evildoer. The Mishnah does not state he should die righteous, because one who is presently acting righteously should certainly not be punished for his ultimate behavior.
Okay, let's continue. The Mishnah is going to get some agadah, some nice statements unrelated to the stubborn and rebellious son. Bottom of the page.
By way of association, the Mishnah continues, the wine and sleep of the wicked are beneficial to them and beneficial to the world, as when they are sleeping or under the influence of wine, they do not cause harm to others. And conversely, the wine and sleep of the righteous are detrimental to them and detrimental to the world, as wine and sleep prevent them from engaging in good deeds.
Page 150.
The dispersal of the wicked, so that they are not found in close proximity to each other, is beneficial to them, as they are less likely to provoke each other to sin, and it is beneficial to the world. The dispersal of the righteous is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world. The assembly of the wicked in one place is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world, while the assembly of the righteous is beneficial to them and beneficial to the world. The tranquility of the wicked is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world, while the tranquility of the righteous is beneficial to them and beneficial to the world.
Read, please, the top note, assembly of the wicked and assembly of the righteous.
The Ramah explains that the very assembly of a group of people serves to reinforce each member of the group, because each individual is strengthened in his way when he sees others proceeding along on the same path. This is true both for the righteous and for the evildoers.
And that's why there is power in numbers, for good and for bad. People sometimes underestimate the power of numbers, but numbers are very, very important because you reinforce what you are trying to do.
Well, we see this in mobs, right? When we have mobs.
We see it in mobs, we see it in people studying Torah. We see that, let's say that Cheryl now had a nice group with Iris, and who else? And maybe Tina will be, and Judy are studying Gemara, or we'll begin a new tractate on a week from this Friday. Why are we so interested and eager in getting more people? First, because we believe that it's good for your neshama, and because it's going to be a good class and so on. But the more people that we get, it reinforces the people like to join places where there are more people. So if something is like popular, we're going to get more people that may want to join. Say, okay, let's get more people. Yes, Sharon.
It's also because some of us have more Hebrew than others. Like Iris is a resource when there's Hebrew, and we have a member of the class who is who was a Shiva Bucha as a kid, and then we have somebody who is also very fluent in Hebrew and brings modern Hebrew into our study, and just so many different backgrounds, and we study different subjects, and people bring their backgrounds to it. So
yeah, and when you have more people davening, the ruach gets nicer in the shul. Yes. So
What I have a problem with is how can they punish someone for future events? I mean, they are not giving that stubborn son the opportunity.
okay, so Judy, when you read the next paragraph, they may explain it a little. You may not be convinced, but let's give it a try.
Okay. The Gemara, it is taught in a Braita that further elaborates upon the words of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi HaGalili says, is it simply due to the fact that the boy ate a tardamar of meat and drank a half a log of Italian wine that the Torah states that he shall be taken out to court to be stoned?
That is a question that Judy is asking. Let's see the answer.
Rather, the Torah penetrates the ultimate mindset of the stubborn and rebellious son and the inevitable results of his actions, as it is understood that he will continue on this path, and in the end he will squander his father's property, and then, seeking the pleasures to which he had become accustomed, but not finding them, he will go out to the crossroads and rob people.
Okay, now continue.
The Torah said that it is better that he should die now when he is still innocent, and he should not die later when he is guilty.
I'm going to stop here. I mean, just finish reading. It's the same. We already did that, but go ahead.
This is because the death of the wicked is beneficial to them and also beneficial to the world, while the death of the righteous is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world. The sleep and wine of the wicked is beneficial to them and beneficial to the world, while that of the righteous is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world. The tranquility of the wicked is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world, while the tranquility of the righteous is beneficial to them and beneficial to the world. The dispersal of the wicked is beneficial to them and beneficial to the world, while the dispersal of the righteous is detrimental to them and detrimental to the world.
So in general, Judy, the answer is that we cannot judge a person, and we cannot condemn a person if the person did not do something that should be condemned. And this is why I'm saying this is an exception, because an exception with very many caveats, which makes it very difficult to apply, but still is an exception because the Torah here says that they go to the mind of the person. The person, he starts eating, he steals from his father and his mother, and eventually is going to go into a path that is going to be very, very bad. So the Torah gives him, again, the Torah kills him to protect him from dying, doing even something worse, and also the people that he may go to harm. Okay? Now, again, this cannot be applied, Judy, to any other cases that you want to say, let me start killing people so they're not going to do any damage. This is a unique case, and as I said, is limited so severely that it's very difficult to get practical applications, to the extent that one of the rabbis says that this case never existed, the case of a rebellious and stubborn son. But I want to mention something that is not about killing people, a rebellious son, but it's something that my rabbinical experience taught me. And I'm sure you saw similar cases. There are some cases that you see in some family relationships that something is happening there that is going really to go to a bad place. And you wish to advise the person that it's better to cut it now because it's going to get worse. Okay, this is a similar situation here. Of course, what I'm talking is not about killing people, but is the sooner you cut, it's not going to get better. That is the feeling here. It's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. And because of that, you want to cut it now. So sometimes you see one of the cases again, and I'm not, you should not quote me 100%, but based on my experience, you can quote me if you want. One of the cases are the cases of domestic abuse or domestic violence. When you see a case of domestic violence, usually they don't get better. People say, oh, he's going to change. He will stop beating the crap out of me. Forgive me. So usually the experience tells me, and I know from that it doesn't get better. So if I can advise someone in that situation, I advise a person to get out of that trap as soon as possible. Okay? Could be children who don't work or are idle and they keep milking their parents for money. Sorry, they're milking and they keep take, and the parent says, hopefully he's going to find a job. So you know some situations that are very difficult to change. When I say very difficult to change, it's very difficult to change without a drastic action on the part of the person who needs to stop it. The other one is bullying. These are situations that you know that don't stop by themselves. So the only way you can stop them is by using some force that looks from the other point of view maybe disproportionate. But it is because it's the only way you can stop this situation. Yes, Tina.
Years ago, when drugs were now it's prevalent, but very prevalent, there was something called tough love. When parents were at their wits' end, they didn't know what to do with their kids, and they were living in the house, they were hurting people or whatever. You had to do tough love, get them out of the house,
Yes.
cut them off entirely. And as painful as it was to a lot of people, they had to do it for their sake and for the rest of their life.
And I will tell you a story. You know, I have been in many congregations, not in many, in a few. Thank God I haven't been in many, but I have enough stories of a child. An adult child was living with the parents and was terrorizing his parents to the extent that could get into some physical violence also. Right? Really, really very bad situation. And the parents, lovely Jewish parents, were crying and say, I quote, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And what they did eventually, because it came to a again, God bless them, you know, they called the police.
Mm-hmm.
And the police took this young man in handcuffs and took them to a psychiatric hospital against his will. And the long story short is that young man became a better, decent human being.
Mm-hmm.
But it needed that point. It needed that point because it was not going to change. So again, this is similar to this situation, and I want to mention because it's in the news today. When Israel is being attacked from Gaza with the rockets, it's not going to stop by itself. This is something that the world doesn't know, but we know that it doesn't stop by itself. That that unless you have a firm response, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Then you can discuss, the big picture. But I'm just talking about what's happening now. It's not going to stop unless Israel has a firm response. So when someone says, let's bring peace to the world, it doesn't work like that. Because when you assess a situation and you realize that this is the only way that is going to stop, then you need to do something. Now, the caveat, we are going to see that very soon, is that you need to make sure that is the only response. That is the only thing that you can do, okay? That you got to an extreme that you say, this cannot continue. This cannot continue. This is the last time I give you, money, okay? Or this is the last time, whatever that situation that you feel that this is coming to this limit. The difficulty in judgment is to know when that moment is. So the rabbis put in the Ben Sorel More and the stubborn and rebellious son, this particular, all the things that he needs to do to that limit. Okay, we are going to see other cases. So we are going to talk about the burglar very soon. Steve mentioned that. If someone comes and tunnels under your home at 2 a.m., he's one thing. Okay. If he happens in the middle of the day, it's another situation. If there are many witnesses, it's a different situation. So that doesn't mean that you can just pull your gun and kill the first person that does something that you don't like. Okay? We are going to see the situation, and we are going to enter now this famous sugya called Ababa Machteret. That is, for those who have a Talmudic family, you can say, this is the name of the sugya called Ababa Machteret, a burglar who is found breaking into a house. And we are going to ask David if you can please read. Bottom of page 150. It's going to be a little technical, but God willing, we will get through. Okay? You need to unmute yourself, David. David?
Got it. Okay. A burglar who is found breaking into a house may be killed by the owner of the house with impunity. He too is sentenced on account of his ultimate end, as it is presumed that if the owner of the house would resist the burglar would kill the owner of the house. If the burglar was breaking into a house, and in the course of doing so, he broke a barrel, if there is blood guiltness for killing him, that is, if the owner would be liable for killing him, the burglar is liable to pay for the value of the barrel. An example of this is if a father broke into his son's house, in which case it is presumed that even if the son resists his father would never kill him, and therefore the son may not kill his father, and if he does so, he is liable. If there is no blood guilt for killing him, that is, if the owner would be exempt from punishment for killing him, the burglar is exempt from paying for the barrel.
Okay, so this is a little complicated. I'm going to explain the general idea, and then it's going to be more complicated because it gets easier. So the first thing is called Ababa Machteret. If a burglar breaks into a house, he can be killed. And the assumption is that nobody likes when their money is being taken, and the owner of the house is going to resist, and the burglar is going to kill him. That is the assumption. And because of that, we are going to see very soon, you can kill, okay, the burglar. That's number one. Number two, we are going to see the situation about the son and the father. The assumption is that this applies to any burglar with the exception of a son that breaks into the father's house, because the assumption is that the father can never kill a son. We are going to see that the reverse is possible. The son could kill the father, but the father can never kill a son. We are going to see that the assumption of the Gemara. The other thing, which is counterintuitive, but I'm going to explain to you because it's going to be the next part of the Gemara, is that if someone breaks into a house and the owner has the permission by the Torah to kill that person, let's call him in self-defense. If the burglar breaks something, he doesn't have to pay. Okay? He doesn't have to pay. But if the owner is not allowed to kill him, given the circumstances, if he breaks something, he needs to pay. Okay? And the reason is, okay, we are going to see that. I'm not going to spoil it. The Gemara is going to explain. Okay? But this is what it means. Yesh lo damim chayav. If he is liable or if he could be killed, he needs, if there is blood guiltiness for killing him, if the home owner would be liable for killing him, the burglar needs to pay. But if the home owner will be innocent, he doesn't have to pay. Okay? And you have the two halachot. Look at the top halacha in the middle of the page, David. Okay, and the two halachot there. You are muted, David, again.
Why did the
yes, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes.
Why did the Torah permit killing a burglar? Because it is assumed that he is prepared to kill the homeowner should the homeowner try to prevent him from stealing. So he is considered a pursuer whom one is permitted to kill. Similarly, one who sees another coming to kill him is permitted to defend himself and kill the assailant. He broke the vessels but did not take them. If a burglar was breaking into a house and it is a situation in which one is permitted to kill him, and in the course of breaking in he broke a vessel, he is exempt. But if he took a vessel and it is still extant, he must return it. If the burglar broke the vessel on his way out, he is apparently liable.
Okay. So this is the Rambam. If he takes the vessel, and in the house of the person that he's stealing, when the owner is allowed to kill him, he breaks the vessel, he doesn't have to pay for the vessel later on. If he takes the vessel out, even though he risks his life to get this vessel, he still needs to return it. And so if he exits the house and while he was out, he broke the vessel, he also needs to return it or to pay. Okay? Now we are going to see that not at the beginning, the next page is going to be an halacha on that subject. Yes, David.
Yeah, quick question. All right, let's say that after the burglar left the house, he lost the vessel or sold it or broke it or something like that. Can, instead of returning the actual vessel, which he no longer has, can he give monetary compensation?
Yes. If they are, when it means is that he is liable for what happened to that vessel. And this is another tractate that Cheryl is finishing now with Iris and Judy and other people called Baba Kama, which is torts. So this is a tractate that deals with this with torts and what happened with in case of damages. So if you kill, if you have your cow and your cow stepped on all my vegetables and ruined all my vegetables, you cannot return the same vegetables, but you need to return the money, the cost of those vegetables. Yes. Okay. So now we are in the Gemara. Famous Gemara, the beginning is coming now. Go ahead.
Rava says, what is the reason for this halacha concerning a burglar who breaks into a house? He explains, there is a presumption that a person does not restrain himself when he is faced with losing his money, and therefore this burglar must have said to himself, if I go in and the owner sees me, he will rise against me and not allow me to steal from him, and if he rises against me, I will kill him. And the Torah stated a principle. If someone comes to kill you, rise and kill him first.
Okay, this is a very, very famous sentence in the Gemara. Im ba leorgecha ashkem leorgo. When someone comes to kill you, kill him first. Yes, this is not give the other cheek. We don't have the other cheek in Judaism. Someone comes to kill you, the law is you kill him first. Im ba leorgecha ashkem leorgo. This is one of the I would say, famous phrases in the Talmud that teaches about self-defense. Here the context is the way of thinking of the thief. The thief says, I am going to steal. The owner is not going to be happy. He's going to try to stop me. If he tries to stop me, I will have to kill him. And because I am going to try to kill him, he's allowed to kill me. Yes? I mean, to kill the burglar. Okay, now Rav and Rava are going to have a discussion. Does it apply only when he breaks the vessel that he doesn't have to pay, or when he takes the vessel to his home also? Okay? Okay, let's continue.
Rav says, if a burglar broke into a house and took certain vessels, and he then left and was caught only afterwards, he is exempt from the obligation to pay restitution for the vessel. What is the reason? He acquired the vessel with his blood. When he broke into the house, he risked his life, as the owner could have killed him. This grave risk that he took exempts him from any other more lenient punishments that could otherwise have been imposed upon him, including the obligation to pay restitution.
Okay, this is another law in the Gemara. When there are two punishments, a person can only get the most severe punishment. It's called Kam Leimi de Rabba Minei. When you have two, a person is not condemned to death and has to pay. In American law, I think it's different. Yes, Cheryl? You can be condemned, you can get jail time and also need to pay. But in Jewish law, a person condemned to death doesn't get to pay, or a person condemned to death doesn't get lashes, or a person who gets karet doesn't. So we have these two. Now here, he didn't get any punishment yet, but because he could have been killed, and that will be okay, if he breaks, he doesn't have to pay. That's what Rava says. Bedamim kanau. He bought it with his life. He bought it with his blood. With blood, he bought this vessel, okay? So Rav says, even if he takes the vessel, doesn't have to pay for it, okay? Rava says, continue.
Rava says, Rava's statement is reasonable in a case where he broke the vessel in the course of robbing so that they no longer exist, and the issue is only whether he has to pay for them. But if he took the vessel and they are still extant, Rava's ruling does not apply.
So Rava says that this is only when he broke the vessel, but he takes the vessel to his home, i.e. it was a successful robbery, and then witnesses come and say, this vessel has my name, you took it. According to Rav, he doesn't have to pay. According to Rava, he needs to return the vessel. And the Rambam rules that if the vessels are still exist, he needs to pay for them, okay?
Rabbi,
yes.
He doesn't have to pay for it, but he's still punished. Is that correct?
What?
He doesn't have to pay for the vessel, but he should still be punished.
Now, how will he? For which sense? For which sin he will be punished?
Well, for stealing.
Yes. So the answer is according to whom? According to Rav, no. He can keep the vessel.
And no punishment.
And no punishment, no. Because he risked his life.
That's a good deal.
Yes, but it's a little risky, Steve. Okay? Because it could end badly. Yes, Tina.
So what in the community, if somebody is a known thief, even though he can get away with it, right? Is there any sort of excommunication of, people not being near them, staying?
So rabbis in the community can do some measurements, some takanot to prevent damage. In many cases, this is not what we're discussing here, but yes, like if someone, what do you do if someone is known to break the windows of all the cars at 2 a.m.? And you cannot, if you believe that you know who the person is, even though you cannot legally accuse the person. You may do something to you. The rabbis can say, we don't want him to come to, we don't want him to be in charge of parking the cars at the wedding ceremony, because it's a little, yeah, so you can, yes. By the way, again, I'm not part of the lay leadership of Hillcrest, but this idea that everybody is welcome to the church or everybody is welcome to the synagogue, I think that doesn't apply. I think that everybody who behaves nicely and is not disturbing should be welcome to a synagogue. But if someone is disturbing, yes, then the person should be asked to leave and be prevented from coming to the synagogue. And the leadership of Hillcrest, at least once since I am here, which is not too often, needed to tell someone, you are not welcome. Don't come here. Which is good, because the damage is worse than not being welcoming for that particular person. If the circumstances are warranted, or are okay. So, again, and what are these circumstances depends who is in charge of a particular situation. But, for example, I think that it is a good policy. It is a good policy to say to someone who has been coming to shul for an entire year without being a member, you should become a member of the shul and support the shul, or make a donation to support the shul, because you have been coming here. Now the person says, I don't need to pay. I don't need to pay to pray. Okay, if that is the answer, and I will come because it's a free place. So now the leadership of the shul could decide, is this behavior going to be disruptive to the rest of the members or not? Is it going to lead with a bad example? And can we say to that person, you know what, you are not welcome? My opinion is that yes. Personally, I think that the leadership of a shul can deem a particular behavior disruptive. Okay? Or someone starts screaming every time that, I am going to write the book, but we have a story. I mean, I don't know if someone may remember. I even don't know the name of the person. Came for a couple of Shabbatot. The person in, when was the time of the Amida, the person was during services, during the entire services, the person stood like this. I don't know if you remember, no? Yes, you remember, Steve?
One time.
Yes, so the person stood like this.
In the
okay?
aisle,
in the middle of the row, stood like this, like this. Okay.
And see you, Rabbi. Stood like what?
Like this, okay? Like in a praying position. Okay, that's good, okay? That could happen. Then the person behind was a little annoyed because, you're standing like this and I like just to look at the rabbi, okay? But, you don't want to be rude. Then the person does it again, okay? The third time I approach the person and say, I know that you like to daven like this. Go to the back and daven like this as much as you want. Do not daven like this in the middle of the row because you are disturbing other people. But some people are afraid to make these comments. And I think that what it does, it alienates other people. So these are the takanot, Tina, that rabbis in the community are allowed to do to protect the community from thieves, from abusers, from bullies, from mean people, and from inconsiderate people. And then you can look at all the examples that you can imagine, okay?
What about, they speak about the robber being able to keep the vessel, but what about the owner of the vessel? What if he's just out?
Yes, he cannot keep. So I will tell you, Judith, it's not over the discussion,
Okay.
but Rav says that he can keep the vessel. Rava says that he cannot. If he breaks the vessel, he doesn't have to pay for it. Okay, that's yeah.
So the owner just loses out?
What?
The owner just doesn't, I mean, he's lost the vessel and he doesn't pay
yes,
for it?
yes.
Does
I
this
don't
pertain-
understand that logic.
Yes, because the owner could have killed that person. And because the person could have been killed, the owner doesn't get the broken vessel.
So if the owner doesn't kill the guy, he loses.
He loses the
like,
vessel, yes.
It's something, I'm not sure I understand the.
You don't have to understand. You just need to learn what is the law. Okay? And at the end of the story, we are going to see a very nice. Now remember, Rava says that if he takes the vessel home, he needs to return it. Okay? Okay, let's continue a little more.
Does this pertain to money also?
I'm sure it does, yes. Yes.
How
Okay.
about food? Does it pertain to food?
So again, if the owner can kill him, whatever, according to Rava, whatever he takes, he needs to return. Okay?
This almost makes it sound like the owner is required to kill him in order to save his property.
He can kill him. He can kill him.
No, but I mean, he doesn't get to save his property unless he does kill him.
Okay, and that's why the thieves know this sugya, and they do not attempt entering homes because it's very risky. And the truth is that most people, I don't want to jinx it, but most people do not get people breaking into their homes because nobody wants to die or to be taken to jail.
You're sort of forcing somebody into killing someone.
No, you don't have to. It's just saying that if you do kill, it's the halakha. It's strange, Judy.
Yeah.
But basically the Gemara says, Rav says, he acquires the vessel with his blood. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue a little more. Okay, the Gemara comments. Now it's this is the difficult part of today's sugya, but we don't have a choice. Remember the two opinions, Rav and Rava. Let's continue, David. Second paragraph on page 151. And you are muted. Yes.
Yeah. The Gemara comments, but by God, Rav states his ruling even with regard to a case where the burglar took the vessel and they are still extant. That is to say, Rav himself does not distinguish between the two cases, as in a case where there is blood guiltness for killing him. For example, in a case where a father came to steal from his son, if an accident occurred to the vessels, the burglar is liable to pay for them. Apparently, the vessels are established in the burglar's possession, and he must pay for any damage that occurs to them. Here also, then, where there is no blood guiltness, the vessels are established as being in the burglar's possession, and they are his. Rava explains, but this is not so. For example, there is no proof that from that case that can be applied to this one. One can claim that when the merciful one established the vessels in the burglar's possession, that was only concerning accidents. So he should be liable to pay for any damages that occurs to them. But as for ownership, they remain in the possession of their owner, just as it is in the case of a borrower. Even though a borrower is liable to pay for all the accidental damage caused to the item he borrowed, nevertheless, the borrowed item does not become his property.
So Rava is explaining to Rav and to the logic, the object doesn't change ownership. It's still owned by the owner, even if it was taken out of his possession, out of his home. Okay? So this is a challenge to Rav. Okay? Now let's continue. The Gemara.
The Gemara raises an objection against Rav. We learned in the Mishnah that if the burglar was breaking into a house, and in the course of doing so, he broke a barrel. If there is blood guiltness for killing him, the burglar is liable to pay for the value of the barrel. If there is no blood guiltiness for killing him, he is exempt from paying for the barrel. A precise reading of the Mishnah indicates that the reason he exempt is that he broke the barrel, so where there is no blood guiltiness for killing him, he is exempt from paying for it. But if he took the barrel, he would not be exempt. Rather, he would be liable, counted to the ruling of Rav.
Okay, this is, okay. This is the reason is that he broke it. But if he didn't break it, if he took it, then he should need to pay, according to the opinion of Rav. So Rav, this is contrary to the opinion of Rav. Yes?
Yeah.
And let's see how they answer. Gemara explains.
The Gemara explains, the same is true. That is, that the burglar would be exempt even if he took the barrel. And that which was taught in the Mishnah, he broke the barrel, serves to teach us that when there is blood guiltness for killing him, then even though he broke the barrel, it is no longer extant, he is also liable to pay for it.
So he's saying, doesn't come to exempt the one who takes the barrel from taking it, comes to tell you that if there is blood guiltiness for killing him, if a person, basically if the owner is not allowed to kill the person and the person broke the barrel, he needs to pay for it, okay? Now the Gemara is going to say, but this is obvious. Let's continue, almost there.
I feel like I'm walking through a maze.
Okay, I will try to explain. We are almost done in the maze.
Okay.
I'm going to summarize, okay?
What page are we in now?
Okay, the Gemara raises.
The Gemara raises an objection. Isn't it obvious that he is liable? This burglar is like any other person who causes damage and is liable to pay for it. The Gemara answers, this Mishnah teaches us that he is liable even if he broke the barrel unintentionally.
So the Mishnah here is the Gemara is raising an objection. You are trying to tell me that this particular case applies when someone, let's say, breaks into a house and the owner is not allowed to kill him, that he is liable. The Gemara says, but this is always the case. Someone who steals something in a regular case of robbery or breaks something is always liable. Okay, so the Gemara teaches that this thief, this burglar who breaks an item is liable even if he breaks it unintentionally. In regular cases, let's say if I go to the house of Judy and I break a vase, you say? A vase?
Yeah.
A vase, without intention, I won't be liable. Okay, I would say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. So I don't have to pay for it. It was an accident. Or hopefully Judy will say, don't worry, Rabbi, accidents happen. But in the case of this burglar, he cannot say it was an accident. He needs to pay because he broke into the house. That's the novelty in the Mishnah, okay? The Gemara objects once again.
What page are we in now?
Why on 151 at the bottom of the page?
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember. The Gemara answers, this Mishnah teaches us that he is liable even if he broke the barrel unintentionally. The Gemara objects to this, objects once again. What is the Mishnah teaching us with this ruling? Does it teach that the legal status of a person is always that of one forewarned, and therefore he is liable even for unintentional damage? But we already learned this in a Baraita. The legal status of a person is always that of one forewarned, whether the damage was done intentionally or unintentionally or intentionally, whether an unavoidable accident or whether it is done willingly. The Gemara comments, indeed, this presents a difficulty for Rav.
And yes, and this is this is contrary to what I said to Judy. I need to pay for your vase, Judy, because I am always forewarned. I am a human being, and look at the halakha at the bottom of the page. You can read it, David.
Yeah. A person is always forewarned. one is liable to pay for any damage that he causes with his body, whether acting intentionally or unintentionally, as one's legal status is always that one is forewarned.
Human beings are forewarned, so you cannot say, "Oh, I didn't know," or I really didn't mean it, or I did it without intention. Okay, you are still still liable. Now, let me try to help a little the maze here that David was here. If you go to the top paragraph, and this is the most difficult part in today's sugya, or in the sugya, Rava and Rav have a difference of opinion with regard to a burglar who takes the vase, the vase, or the barrel, or the object with him. Rav says he doesn't have to pay. Rava says he has to pay. He needs to return it. He needs to return it. Yes? If he breaks it, even though Judy doesn't like it, the halacha is that he breaks it, he doesn't have to pay if we're talking a case in which the owner is allowed to kill him. So this is the discussion here in this page between Rava and Rav. They try to prove that that the case that Rav still believes that applies to vessels that are being taken, but they bring an objection against Rav. And bottom line at the bottom of the page is, indeed, this presents a difficulty for Rav. The objection stands, and Rav has an objection here, and he seems to be losing so far in this halacha. Yes? Yeah. In other words, if the burglar takes the object to his home, even after risking his or her life, he needs to pay for it back. He needs to return it. Yes? Now let's continue to page 152. And Rav Beivai Barabaye will raise an objection to the ruling of Rava. And I'm going to thank you, David, for reading. And I'm going to ask, Iris, do you want to read? Remember, Rava says that only if he breaks it, he pays. Okay? Okay.
Rav Beivai Bar Abaye raises an objection to the ruling of Rava from a Baraita. One who steals a purse on Shabbat and takes it out into a public domain is liable to pay for what he stole, even though he also desecrated Shabbat, which is a transgression for which one is executed by stoning.
So from here, it seems that he gets both punishment. He needs to pay, and he gets stoning. Okay, continue.
Ordinarily, one who is liable to receive two punishments for the same offense is administered only the more severe punishment and exempt from the other one. Here, however, he is liable to pay for the purse and is executed because he was already liable to pay for the theft as soon as he lifted the purse. And this took place before he came to violate the prohibition of performing prohibited labor on Shabbat by carrying the purse into the public domain.
Let me tell you how it works. The person lifts the purse inside the house. So far, he didn't transgress any Shabbat prohibition, okay? I know that you cannot carry money on Shabbat, but this is a minor thing in comparison. So he lifted the purse. While he lifted the purse, he already stole the purse. Then he took the purse. And now he really messed it up on Shabbat because he took it to the public domain. This is Tractate Eruvin. So he took it to the public domain. Didn't have an Eruv. So he transgresses a commandment, and now he is condemned to be stoned. But he was already liable when he picked it up. So the fact that he took it out doesn't take the robbery out of the picture. Let's continue. The Braita continues.
If he did not lift the purse, but rather was dragging it on the ground and exiting the private domain, he is exempt from paying for what he stole. As in this case, since he did not lift the purse, he would become liable to pay for the stolen item only when he drags it out of its owner's property into the public domain. Accordingly, the prohibition of theft and the prohibition of performing prohibited labor on Shabbat, which is punishable with death by stoning, are violated simultaneously.
Because when he drags it, he only takes ownership when he takes it out of the house of the owner. Okay, I'm going to explain it. It's a little technical. If I grab this, I take it. Once I grab it, it's in my possession. Okay, I grab it. If I drag it, it's still in the possession of the owner. But when I take it out, then I transgress the two the prohibitions simultaneously. I transgress Shabbat, and I took it from the owner's possession to the outside possession. Okay, let's continue.
And one who is liable to receive the death penalty is exempt from monetary liability that he incurred with the self-same act. This poses a difficulty to Rava, who ruled that if the stolen item is extant, the burglar must return it, whereas this Baraita indicates that if one commits a transgression for which he is liable to receive the death penalty, he is exempt from all payments.
Okay, the Gemara answers.
And the halacha is that the Baraita must be understood as referring to a case where the burglar threw the purse into a river. Since the purse is no longer extant, he is exempt from having to pay for it, even though he caused the damage intentionally. But if the purse is extant, he is in fact required to return it.
So they're saying Rabbi still was not defeated here, because the only reason that he doesn't have to return the purse is not because he transgressed the two things at the same time, but because he threw the purse into the river, and now he will be killed. He will be stoned for desecrating Shabbat. So that is why he doesn't have to return it. But if he had kept the purse, according to Rabbi, he should have returned it. Okay, Rabbi will say you cannot keep the items. Okay, if you have them, even if you risk your life or you are condemned to death, you need to return them.
It is related that rams were once stolen from Rava by burglars who broke into his house. The burglars came to return the animals to him, but Rava did not accept them. Rava said, since a ruling issued from Rav's mouth that a burglar who may be killed acquires the items he stole, I no longer agree to take them.
Okay. This is one of the most, in my opinion, it was read very quickly, but it's one of the most beautiful things of the Gemara. I'm going to teach it in Stories with a Twist maybe one day. Remember what Rava says? Rava says that he must return the objects, that the person, the burglar, needs to return it. Yes, remember? Right. Now they bring the story. It is related that rams were once stolen from Rava by burglars who broke into his house. The burglars came to return the animals to him, and Rava should have said, yes, of course, you need to return them to me, because that's what I believe, yes? This is the way I believe. But Rava did not accept them. Rava said, since a ruling issued from Rav's mouth that the burglar who may be killed acquires the items he stole, I no longer agree to take them. He says, I am going to rule stringently to myself, and because that's what Rav, who was the biggest teacher, said, and I'm not going to take them. The halacha is not in accordance with Rav, but in accordance with Rava. But Rava says, my teacher said so, I'm not going to take it. I can disagree with him. I don't agree with the halacha, what he says. But because he issued the ruling, I am not going to take it. So again, I like the story, the end of the story, because you can, how far it goes, your belief that you honor your teacher's ruling. You can say, yes, I honor my teacher ruling. It's also at the extent that you will lose your property. Rabbi is saying yes, because this was the ruling of my teacher. I am not going to take it. The rams are yours. But we took it and we want to, it's okay. You acquired them because you came into my home. I could have killed you. I didn't kill you for whatever reason. Then they are yours. Yes, Tina.
I have a question. If he had decided otherwise and stuck to his original guns and not done what Rava said, would they have the way was it Rabbi Eliezer who was
No. Look at the top note. I'm going to read it. Since a ruling issued from Rav's mouth, in several instances, one finds sages meticulously fulfilling the words of their teachers, even when they understand that those words are not allegically binding. So the words are not allegically binding. But he says, my teacher said so. My teacher said so, and I'm not going to take them. So he can take them. By law, he can take them. Not only that, that's the way he believes. But he says, my teacher says so, I'm not going to take it. Okay? So I need to look for a nice, how I'm going to teach this story. Okay, so...
So is that the final ruling? Is that...
So if you go back to the final ruling...
A robber gets to keep the item?
No.
Because he agreed to...
So the ruling from the Rambam, the ruling of the Rambam is that the burglars bring the rams, that Rava should keep the rams. These are the ruling.
Oh.
The ruling is according to Rava.
Oh, it is.
The objection to Rav still stands.
Oh, okay.
You need to return it. If the object is still existing, you need to return it. You did not acquire it with your blood. But in this case, Rava says, I know what the rule is, and I agree with it. But I am not going to accept these rams because my teacher, Rav, thinks differently. Okay, so that's a little twist here. Okay, Iris, you did a little reading, so do a little more, okay?
Sure. Okay. Apropos a burglar who breaks into a house, the sages taught in a baraita. The verses state, if a burglar is found breaking in and is smitten and dies, there shall not be blood shed on his account. If the sun is risen upon him, there shall be blood shed on his account.
And this is what Steve mentioned, if it's a difference between the night and the day, yes?
Yes. A question may be raised, but did the sun rise only upon him? Rather, these words must be understood in a metaphoric sense. If the matter is as clear to you as the sun that the burglar is not coming to you in peace, but rather his intention is to kill you, arise and kill him first. But if you are not sure about his intentions, do not kill him.
Okay, so here is a little different. Do not be very quickly to pull the gun, okay? But let's look at the next baraita.
It is taught in another baraita. The verse states, if the sun is risen upon him, there shall be blood shed on his account. A question may be raised, but did the sun rise only upon him?
I don't know.
Rather, these words must be understood as follows. If the matter is as clear to you as the sun, that the burglar is coming to you in peace, do not kill him. But if you are not sure about his intentions, arise and kill him. The
Okay.
Gemara,
Yes. Yes.
140.
the Gemara notes a difficulty. The halacha in the undetermined case, as stated in the first baraita, contradicts the halacha in the undetermined case, as stated in the second baraita. The first baraita indicates that if the homeowner is unsure about the burglar's intentions, he is prohibited from killing the burglar, whereas the second baraita indicates that in such a case, he is permitted to kill the burglar.
Okay, so the question here is, in case of doubt, what do you do? In case of doubt, the first Braita says, in the case of doubt,
You
you
don't,
do not kill him. The second Braita says, in the case of doubt, kill him and then ask questions, you know. So this is, you understand the difference of the Braita, yes? So the question here are asking, what is the halacha? The Gemara answers,
the Gemara answers, this is not difficult. Here, where the Baraita teaches that if one is unsure about the burglar's intentions, it is prohibited for him to kill him. It is referring to a father who comes to rob his son. A father has great compassion for his son, and therefore it may be presumed that he will not kill his son if he resists. Accordingly, the son is prohibited from killing his father unless he knows for certain that his father has the intention of killing him. There, where the Baraita teaches that if one is unsure about the burglar's intentions, it is permitted for him to kill him, but it is referring to a son who comes to rob his father. Since the son has less compassion for his father, it may be presumed that he would be ready to kill his father if he resists. Therefore, the father is permitted to kill his son unless he knows for certain that his son would never kill him.
and they use the example of the father, but let me explain how this works. The first Braita that says only if you are absolutely sure that the person is going to kill you, you can kill him. This is only in the case where the attacker is a father comes to rob his son, and the son is sure that his father is not going to kill him. Every other case, including the father-son reverse case, you applies to the second Braita. In other words, in doubt, if you don't have to do too much questions. If someone comes and you don't know, you pull the gun and you defend yourself. Okay. I want to mention, look at the halacha, Iris, the two halachot on the top.
Here, a father who comes to his son, there, a son who comes to his father. A father who breaks into his son's home may not be killed, as he certainly did not come to kill his son, but a son who breaks into his father's home may be killed.
Okay, now, again, this is something that you may not like it either, but the Gemara is telling us something that I think all of you may know intrinsically, that I'm going to say that, how can I say it? I'm going to say that in English, okay? Parents love more children than children love parents. Okay, that's what the Gemara is telling us. Parents love more children, their children more than what children love parents. Okay, you may not like it, but it is those of us who have children, and those who love parents, and even those who love their parents a lot, know that this is true. The Yiddish, and there is an Yiddish saying that says in the same line, says that one mother or one father can sustain 10 children, but 10 children cannot sustain one mother, one father. Yeah. Another true story. Okay, but again, the Gemara is saying this is part of ingrained in human, in our nature, and a father will never kill. We can be sure a father will never kill a son. We cannot be sure a son will never kill a father. That's what he's saying. Okay. Again, I'm not saying this doesn't say that children go killing parents, but that is really how the halakha is differentiated. In the top Braita applies to the case of a father who comes to steal that will never kill his son. The other one to all the others. Okay, now we are almost done for the day, but not quite. So let's continue, Iris.
Yes, Rav says, with regard to anyone who breaks into my house, I would kill him, as I would presume that he's ready to kill me, except for Rav Chanina bar Sheila, whom I would not kill. The Gemara asks, what is the reason that Rav excludes Rabbi Chanina bar Sheila? If we say that Rav trusts him because he is right, he's a righteous person, this is difficult, as the case is one where he broke into his house, which indicates that he's not a righteous person. Rather, it is because he would say, I'm certain that he would have mercy upon me, just like a father would have mercy on a son.
Okay, also, I think it's a beautiful story. You can say, Rav says, I know that he's never going to kill me. I know that Rabbi, what's his name? Hanina Bar Sheila, he may not be a righteous person, he may come to steal. Again, that doesn't mean, he says, if he were to come to steal, I will not be able to, because I know he's not going to harm me. Okay, I know that he loves me the same way that will have mercy on a father, on a son. Okay, and okay, Iris, it's a short one, so let's continue the next 3 paragraphs, and then we are going to call it a day.
Okay. The sages taught in a Baraita, if the sun is risen upon him, there shall be blood shed on his account, both during the week and on Shabbat. If a burglar is found breaking in, there shall not be bloodshed on his account, both during the week and on Shabbat. The Gemara clarifies this Baraita. Granted that with regard to there shall not be bloodshed on his account, it was necessary to say that this applies both during the week and on Shabbat, as it might enter your mind to say that this is just as it is in the case of those who are executed by the court, who are not executed on Shabbat. Therefore, the Baraita teaches us that the burglar may be slain in self-defense even on Shabbat.
Okay, also extremely important statement that I don't want it to go overlooked, that a burglar may be slain in self-defense on Shabbat. This was a big discussion in the time of the Maccabees. The enemies of Israel came and attacked them on Shabbat, and they didn't defend themselves until someone realized that we need to defend ourselves, and this is the halacha. Okay, let's continue.
But with regard to there shall be blood shed on his account, the statement that this applies both during the week and on Shabbat is puzzling. Now, if on a weekday he may not be slain, is it necessary to say that he may not be slain on Shabbat? Rav Sheshet says, this ruling is necessary only to teach that if a building collapsed on the burglar on Shabbat, one is obligated to clear the pile of stones from on top of him and perform any action necessary to rescue him, even if it involves the desecration of Shabbat. One does not say that while he is not permitted to actively kill him, he is also not obligated to save him.
In other words, he may be a burglar, he come to steal in your home, and if in the course of stealing a pile falls on him, you are obligated to save him, to remove the stones and save him. Look at the last halakha, and the last 2 halachot. Sorry, the halakha number 2 and 3.
Okay, there shall not be bloodshed on his account both during the week and on Shabbat. It is permitted to kill a burglar who breaks into a house both during the week and on Shabbat, to clear the pile from on top of him. If a building collapsed upon a burglar whom one is not permitted to kill on Shabbat, one must do everything possible to save him, even if that involves desecrating Shabbat. But if one is permitted to kill him, one may not clear the pile of stones that fell on him on Shabbat.
Okay. And we can do a little more, but we are not. I'm going to give you a little break, and we are going to stop here. And next week, we will continue with applying the same preemptive cases to other interesting cases. And we are not almost, but we are making nice progress towards the end of the chapter. I encourage everybody.
Excuse me, I lost my place at the end. Where are we now? Page 153?
Yes, a paragraph from the bottom of the page.
Got it. Okay.
And so we are going to resume next Wednesday where we stopped here. And I encourage everybody to attend the Tikkun Shavuot if you can in person, and if not, at least to stream it. Abby, Aviva, and I will be teaching from 7 p.m. to 8:45 p.m., including Mincha, and then Marif at 8:45 p.m. of the eve of Shavuot. That will be the equivalent to our mini Tikkun, which is the studying Torah before Shavuot. And I wish all of you a good day, a good Yom Tov, a good Shabbos, and may we hear good news.
Rabbi.
Be well, everybody.
Thank
By the
you.
way, I found a hint of basis rather than the Sibur at the end.
Excellent. So you have excellent. Okay. Be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am glad, Nate.
Okay, you too. Bye.